Alright, well, I've been wanting to do a video on these chainsaw pants that I ordered over winter. I used to run the steel chaps, the wraparound chaps, and they've really become an issue in the winter because you layer them up and they tend to trip you up and be more cumbersome than anything, and leads me to not wear them when I have to layer up when it's really cold. So purchased these SIP Protection Innovation chainsaw pant. It is 80 degrees out today, and I've got I'm not wearing any long johns or not wearing anything underneath these. These are the only thing that I'm wearing, and they have a mesh liner, and the protection is only in the front. So from your waist down, you only have protection where this seam is on the side to the seam on the other side of the inside of the pant. So you only have front protection, but they're a very cool pant. I've never worn chainsaw pants before, and although they're expensive, they're 250 bucks. I'm going to be more prone to wear them all the time, regardless of weather conditions. So in the winter time, when it was really cold, I would wear a long john underneath it, or a thermal underwear, and then wear these, and as long as you stayed moving, it wasn't that big of a deal. But if you stopped cutting wood or anything for a little bit, sat down on the four-wheeler, sat down on the tractor, you were going to get chilly. You'll lose your body heat in your legs pretty quick, but get up moving again, they keep you warm enough, at least, again with the protection. So if you want full front and rear protection, I think they offer a pant that has front and rear protection, but this is front protection only. But again, it's 80 degrees today and not too shabby. So these have zippered pockets on both sides. You have a zippered pocket here that's large enough for a scrunch, and I've also got a little tuning screwdriver. They're ventilated back here, the mesh behind the knee, they're ventilated there, and these are a large. I'm usually like a 30 to a 32 inch waist, depending on the time of year, and so these are a large. I've got room to grow, which I'm hoping to get more room, not less room. But one of the biggest things when I was looking at these chainsaw pants, because they're some of the cheaper on the market that I was able to find. I got them from Bailey's. You can see pictures that have the double bachelors on the front, but it didn't show anything on the rear. And I ended up going through YouTube and ended up finding a guy that was in Europe somewhere that had them, and I had a sneak peek of just a very quick glimpse of him wearing them and turned around, and so there is one set of fasteners on the back. So you've got two doubles on the front, one double on the rear. If you wear suspenders, there's also belt loops if you're not a suspenders guy. But out here, this beautiful day today, I don't like a belt. I actually like the elasticity of this waist as I'm moving around, bending over, choking logs and things. So that said, we have 11 acres of pasture that's fenced in for our cattle. That's 11 of our 39 acres total that we own. So the rest being hardwoods. And the spot I'm in now is a little over 2 acres of the corner of our woods. So this trail here leads up to the house. This is the fence row property line that we own that leads all the way back. There's a skidding trail. This was logged before we bought the property 4 or 5 years ago, so there's some skidding access trails, which is nice. But where I'm at now, this is mostly younger regrowth. As you can see, there's an old barbed wire fence inside the woods with young growth on both sides of it. So you have a lot of maple trees that are, you know, 2-inch diameter on up to 6 or 8 inch diameter, and then they take a leap up to some larger diameter, 12, 16 inch diameter. Got some oaks, got a couple hickories, we got a shagbark here, got a nice shagbark there. We're clearing this 2.5 acres out for silvopasture, so we're going to be leaving the shagbark here. We're going to be leaving, you can see a big oak there that I've got the strap in, and a snatch block for hauling logs when they get hung. But other than that, all this stuff here is, you know, 4, 6 inch stuff that we're going to be chipping. And we utilize wood chips here on the farm. We've got a big compost pile. We utilize wood chips in a big garden, and you know, we take our cattle manure that we get from the winter time when they are in the barn here and there, mix that in with the wood chips, help that break down and get us some good compost for my wife's garden, is the biggest thing. So some of the bigger unwanted trees, firewood today. So made some firewood, and a lot of it, like I said, is going to be chipped. So a lot of it also, so this big pile you see here is all chip shred stuff. This all that's still on the ground is big enough for firewood. This maple back here is pretty good size. I've got it hooked up to the skidding winch there on the tractor. We're going to get that back to the sawmill. I've got I think probably a dozen, maybe between a dozen and 2 dozen logs that I've pulled today, anywhere from 9 to 16.5 feet. We're going to be building an extension on our barn this year sometime, and it's a 28 by 40 extension that's going to have approximately 10-foot eaves, and I'm going to saw all the lumber for those. The posts will be, I don't know, maple. I don't really know if I'm going to go the white oak route this time around like I did with the lean-to. The posts will all be on concrete pilings, the sonotubes, and I've got steel brackets, so they'll be up off the ground a foot or so. So I'm not really worried about rot. But so yeah, most of the bigger trees in here is going to be lumber for the barn build, is what I'm shooting for. The reason why I'm not leaving the maples for the silvopasture trees. Now, I don't know if you're not familiar with silvopasture. Silvopasture is a method of generating pasture that has larger, mature crop trees. So trees that make a pretty good crop for the end of the year, whether it be oaks, whether it be hickories, whether it be locust variety, which I don't have many locusts here, but for the most part we're going to try to keep hickories and oaks for their nut crops, and eventually we're going to have hogs that will run back here. But I also want this sunlight, I want this canopy open to get sunlight to the forest floor. That way we can get some grass growing up here and be able to run our cattle through here to get the nutrient cycle still going. So on the outskirts of the woods where it's wrapped around by our current fenced in pasture, we're going to leave a 10 or a 15 foot hedgerow of the small saplings and things already there for a windbreak, because we want to utilize this space in the winter if we get some pretty nasty winter weather, and utilize this windbreak area to get the cattle in here, to keep them out of the barn for one, because we want their manure and nutrients to stay out here instead of having to haul it out here and burning diesel to do so. Granted, the tractor doesn't burn much diesel, but it still burns diesel, and we'll be able to bale graze them back in here and some things, but we want it to be a weather protected area. But in the summertime, like it is now, we want to have enough shade in here. We want to have enough moving shade from more mature trees to where they can get in here and cool down, but yet there be enough sunlight to where we have good forage growth. So it's a long process, but it's fun. It gives us firewood, it'll give us wood chips, and best of all, it gives us lumber to get off the sawmill, which we'll be doing. But I wanted to get a bunch of saw logs up there first. Some really pretty maples, and this silver maple here, it's just, yeah, I'd like to make syrup off of it, but man, we got the majority of our 26 or 27 acres of woods, the majority of it is maples, so we're in no shortage of maples. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video on these chainsaw pants, that way people can actually see these chainsaw pants, because there's not a lot of information out there, and for a cheaper entry-level chainsaw pant, front protection only, I tell you, they've impressed me. I wasn't really sure how I would like them, especially when the weather turned warm, but I'm really liking them. And so I'm 5'9", with again 30 to 32 inch waist. These are a large, it's European sizing, so usually a size up from what you usually get in American sizes. So I got a large, and they're long enough, the inseam is long enough to where the pant legs don't ride up when you bend over very much. So I've seen some pants that have little metal clips here, like a gator clip that'll clip into your shoelaces to keep them from riding up, but these really don't need it, from what I found. So if you flip these things inside out, you can see the protection there, and then you can see where it ends on the back. But where the white is, those are your fibers that provide your protection from the chains. So that's where we're at. Again, a lot of work, but man, we got some beautiful weather this week. It's only supposed to be high 70s, a touch into the 80s, down into the 50s at night, and very little rain forecasted. So a lot of growth on the pastures. I mean, it's what, June 5th today, June 6th, I think, one of the two. I don't know what day it is, but beautiful day to be out in the woods.